You built something from nothing. Early mornings nobody saw. Decisions that kept you up at 3 a.m. Risks that made your stomach drop. You did not do all of that to stay average. You did it because somewhere inside you knew you were built for something bigger. So why does it feel like the harder you push, the more something keeps slipping? I will tell you why, and it is not what you think. The founders who actually make it, the ones who build real companies, real wealth, real freedom, they do not just think differently. They have quietly eliminated certain behaviors from their lives. Behaviors that most people treat as completely normal. Behaviors that feel harmless on any given Tuesday, but compound into the exact ceiling you keep bumping your head against. These are the Stoic founder habits that separate the ones who win from the ones who wonder what went wrong. 7 things. Founders who operate at the highest level do not do them, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us start with the one that is costing you the most right now. Number 1. They never outsource their peace of mind to other people's opinions. Here is a scenario. You pitch an investor, or you post something honest about your company, or you make a bold decision and word gets around, and then you wait. You check your phone, you replay the conversation, you read their tone, their pause, their one-word reply, and you spend the next 4 hours running it through your head, trying to figure out what they think of you. Sound familiar? Most founders live here, inside other people's heads, constantly measuring their worth against someone else's approval. And the worst part, the truly brutal part, is that this habit does not just waste time. It hands your entire internal compass to someone who was never qualified to hold it. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome. He had more critics, more people with opinions about his decisions than you or I will ever face. And he wrote this: "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." Read that again slowly. You love yourself. You believe in what you are building. But the moment one person raises an eyebrow, you wobble. That wobble is the leak. That is where the energy goes that should be going into your work. The Stoic founders I have studied, watched, and learned from, they listen to feedback. They take input seriously when it comes from someone who has earned the right to give it. But they are not rattled by every voice in the room. They have a court inside themselves, and they are the ones who decide what gets heard in it. Start asking yourself this before you let someone's opinion land on you. Do I actually respect the way this person has built their life? If the answer is no, their opinion does not belong in your operating system. Delete it. Not with arrogance, with clarity. Number 2, they never confuse movement with progress. Every founder knows this trap, but almost nobody escapes it cleanly. You wake up and you are moving, answering messages, jumping on calls, tweaking the deck, rescheduling the meeting, reorganizing the folder structure. 6 hours pass. You are exhausted. And if someone asks you honestly, what did you actually move forward today? The answer is uncomfortable. Busy is not the same as productive. Fast is not the same as forward. Epictetus said it plainly. He said people are not disturbed by things. They are disturbed by the opinions they have about things. And one of the most destructive opinions a founder can hold is that visible effort equals real progress. Here is what actually happens. When you are avoiding your hardest, most important work, the work that is genuinely difficult and uncertain, your brain will manufacture urgency around easier tasks to give you the feeling of motion without the discomfort of real work. You will answer email instead of making the call you are afraid to make. You will polish the slide deck instead of having the hard conversation with your co-founder. You will hold 3 check-in meetings instead of sitting alone with the problem that actually matters. The Stoic founder habits that protect against this are not complicated, but they are strict. Your most important work gets your first hours, not your leftover hours, not your after the calls hours. your sharpest, cleanest, earliest hours. Everything else waits. This one shift alone, protecting your first 2 hours for deep work on the thing that actually matters most, will do more for your business than any productivity app, morning routine stack, or motivational podcast you will ever consume. The question is not, are you moving? The question is, are you moving toward what actually counts? Number 3. They never let urgency make their most important decisions. There is a specific kind of panic that only founders feel. When a deal might fall through, when a key person says they are leaving, when cash gets tight and someone is pushing you to decide right now. That pressure is real. The urgency feels completely justified. And in that state, under that heat, the worst decisions get made. Decisions that look obvious and right in the moment and catastrophic 3 months later. Every Stoic who ever wrote about leadership came back to the same place. The pause. The gap between the pressure arriving and the response leaving. That gap is not hesitation. That gap is where your judgment lives. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of the urgency pushing you toward fast decisions is manufactured, not always intentionally. But the investor who needs an answer by Friday, the partner who says the window is closing, the vendor who has another buyer, that pressure is almost never as real as it feels. The founders who lose big rarely lose because they moved too slowly on something genuinely urgent. They lose because they moved fast on something that only felt urgent. They signed deals they did not fully read. They hired people they did not fully vet. They pivoted entire product directions because one loud voice in one bad week scared them into it. Build a rule and keep it, without exception. Any decision that will take more than 30 days to reverse gets at least 48 hours before it gets your yes. No exceptions. Not for pressure, not for FOMO, not for someone else's deadline that was never actually yours. If the deal dies because you took 48 hours to think, that deal was never safe to begin with. That is the first 3, and you are already starting to feel it, are not you? The pattern beneath the pattern. These are not productivity hacks. They are not morning routine tricks. They are a way of operating that puts you back in the driver's seat of your own business and your own mind. 3 more are coming, including the one that most founders spend their entire first company learning the hard way. The one about who you trust when you give and what it silently costs you every single time you get it wrong. Drop in the comments right now. I build from clarity, not from noise. Claim it, mean it, come back to it when the pressure hits. Most founders think the biggest threat to their company is outside them. A competitor moving faster, a market shifting, an investor saying no, a product that will not quite land. But the founders who have been through it, the ones who built something, lost something, rebuilt it, they will tell you the same thing when you get them alone and they are being real with you. The most dangerous threats were never outside. They were habits, patterns, blind spots they carried into the building every single morning and never once questioned. We covered the first 3. Now we go deeper. Number 4. They never build in public before they have built in private. There is enormous pressure right now to share everything, document the journey, post the milestone, announce the launch before the launch, show the world you are moving. And for some founders, it works. Visibility creates momentum, attracts talent, pulls in early customers. But there is a version of this that quietly destroys more than it builds. And most people doing it cannot see the damage because the likes and the comments feel like progress. Here is what actually happens when you perform your building before the building is solid. You start making decisions for the audience instead of for the company. You hold on to a direction longer than you should because you already announced it publicly, and changing course feels like failure. You avoid the hard pivot because your identity is now attached to the version of the story you already told. You are no longer running the company, you are managing the narrative of the company, and those 2 jobs are not the same job. Marcus Aurelius kept a private journal for years. The meditations were never meant for anyone else. They were written to himself, about himself, working through the hardest parts of leading an empire in real time. No audience, no approval, no likes. Just a man doing the internal work so the external work could be clear. Build the real thing first. Do the work that nobody is watching. Get the product right, get the team right, get your own thinking right before you invite the world in to have opinions about it. Your business does not need an audience to grow. It needs clarity, and clarity is almost always a private activity. This does not mean stay silent forever. It means earn the right to speak publicly by doing the real work privately first. The founders who build something that lasts are usually quieter in the early stages than you would expect. They are not hiding, they are building. There is a difference. Number 5. They never keep people around out of loyalty to who they used to be. This one is uncomfortable. I am going to say it plainly because it deserves to be said plainly. The person who helped you get from 0 to 1 is not automatically the right person to help you get from 1 to 10. The co-founder who believed in you when nobody else did. The early hire who worked for nothing because they trusted your vision. The advisor who opened the first doors. These people matter. What they did matters. The relationship matters. But the company is not a monument to the past. It is a living thing that needs what it needs right now. And sometimes what it needs right now is not available from the people who got you here. Keeping someone in a role they have outgrown because you feel loyal to who they were in year 1 does not protect them. It holds them in a position where they are increasingly out of their depth, increasingly aware of it, and increasingly anxious because of it. It is not kindness. It looks like kindness. It costs both of you. Epictetus taught something that founders need to hear. He said it is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. One of the hardest responses a founder ever has to make is looking at someone they genuinely care about and acknowledging with honesty, this role needs something different now. The Stoic founder habits around people are not cold. They are not about treating humans like resources to be swapped. They are about being honest enough to have the real conversation, instead of letting a difficult situation quietly rot because the conversation feels too hard. Have the conversation. Have it with respect. Have it early, before the damage compounds. The people worth keeping will respect you more for it, and the ones who needed a different path anyway will eventually thank you for not letting them stay stuck in the wrong one. Your team is either pulling the company forward or holding it in place. There is rarely a long middle. Number 6. They never mistake confidence for certainty. Some founders are afraid to project confidence because they do not feel certain. So they either fake certainty they do not have and eventually get caught, or they undersell their conviction and lose the room before they ever had it. Both are the wrong direction, and both come from the same misunderstanding. Confidence and certainty are not the same thing. Certainty means you know exactly how it turns out. Confidence means you fully commit to your direction while staying completely honest about what you do not know yet. The best founders in the world are deeply confident and radically uncertain at the same time. They can hold both without falling apart. That combination, committed direction plus intellectual honesty, is one of the rarest things in any room. Seneca wrote that the bravest sight in the world is watching someone fight against their circumstances and not being conquered by them. He was not describing someone who knew they would win. He was describing someone who moved forward anyway. When you are in a room with investors, with your team, with a partner you need on your side, they do not need you to have every answer. What they need is to feel that you are grounded, that you have thought about this seriously, that when things get hard, which they always do, you will not disappear into panic or denial. They need to feel that you can handle what comes. That feeling comes from your posture, your pace, the way you talk about the problems you do not have solved yet. The founder who says, "I do not know exactly how we crack this yet, but here is how we are thinking about it, and here is why I believe we get there," That founder is more believable and more trustworthy than the one performing certainty they clearly do not have. Drop the performance. Pick up the genuine conviction you already have inside you. You started this company for a reason. You have seen something that others have not seen yet. Lead from that, not from the pressure to seem like you have it all figured out. You do not need to know everything. You need to know what you know and own it fully. Number 7 starts in part 3, and it is the one that ties everything together. The one that is not a habit you build, but a decision you make once, clearly, and then protect forever. It is about what you are actually building toward, and whether the life you are constructing around your company is the life you actually want, or just the life that seemed like the right answer when you were 25 and hungry and had not yet learned what things cost. Most founders never stop long enough to ask the question. The ones who do, the ones who get honest about the answer, build differently after that. Not slower, better. Write this in the comments right now. I lead with conviction, not performance. Say it because you mean it, not because someone told you to. There is a question most founders never ask themselves, not because they are not smart enough, not because they do not care, but because the pace of building leaves almost no room for it. And somewhere along the way, staying busy starts to feel safer than staying honest. The question is this: is the life you are building actually the life you want? Or is it just the life that made sense when you started, before you knew what it would really cost? That question sits underneath everything, underneath the pitch decks and the hiring decisions and the product roadmaps. And until a founder gets honest about the answer, all the strategy in the world only adds up to more speed in a direction they never fully chose. This is where the Stoic founder habits stop being about tactics and start being about something deeper. Number 7. They never lose the thread back to why they started. Every founder remembers the original feeling, the clarity of it, the moment before the complexity arrived, when the whole thing was just a real problem and a genuine belief that you could solve it better than anyone else. That feeling did not disappear. It got buried. Under the pressure to hit numbers, under the noise of people telling you what your company should be, under the weight of decisions that compounded faster than you expected, under the version of yourself you started performing for investors, for your team, for an audience that wanted a certain kind of founder story. And somewhere in all of that, the original thread got harder to find. Marcus Aurelius wrote something in his journal that has stayed with me. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not the past you are protecting, not the future you are chasing, the present, this moment, this decision, this day. Because the only place you can reconnect with why you started is right now. Not in a reflection someday when things calm down. They will not calm down. Not after the next round. The next round brings new weight. Right now, in the middle of the noise, is the only time you actually have." The founders who build something that genuinely lasts, and more importantly, who remain themselves while building it, they check back regularly. Not in a soft or sentimental way, in a ruthless, clear-eyed way. They ask whether what they are doing today is connected to what they actually care about. And when the answer is no, they are willing to change something. Not quit. Change. There is a difference. Quitting is walking away. Changing is getting honest and adjusting with intention. The Stoic is not rigid. The Stoic is rooted. Rooted in purpose, flexible in method. Your why is not a nice to have. It is load-bearing. When the hard weeks come, and they always come, it is the only thing that keeps the whole structure standing. Here is what this looks like when it breaks down. A founder raises a round. The money brings expectations. The expectations shape the roadmap. The roadmap starts serving the investors instead of the customer. The customer starts to feel it. The product drifts. The team senses the drift, but nobody names it out loud because the funding is real and the pressure is real and there is a number to hit by Q3. And the founder, somewhere in the middle of all that, is working harder than they ever have in their life and feeling further from what they built this for than they did on day one, with no money and no team and no proof it would work. That is not a funding problem. That is not a market problem. That is a thread problem. The thread back to why got cut. Quietly, one small compromise at a time, and nobody noticed until the whole thing felt like a job they would not have chosen. The Stoic founders I respect most are not the ones who never drifted. Almost everyone drifts. They are the ones who noticed, got honest, and pulled themselves back, without drama, without burning everything down, with the same clear, grounded energy they brought on day one, when the whole thing was just a belief and a blank page. Epictetus said something that lands harder the longer you sit with it. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself, not master of the market, not master of the competition, master of himself." Because everything you are trying to build on the outside, the company, the team, the impact, the wealth, it is only as solid as the person doing the building. And if that person is lost, running on fumes, chasing a version of success they never actually examined, then the building will reflect that. Not immediately, but eventually, always. So here is where we land. 7 things. Stoic founders do not outsource their peace to other people's opinions. They do not confuse motion with momentum. They do not let manufactured urgency make their most important decisions. They do not perform the building before the building is solid. They do not keep the wrong people in place out of misplaced loyalty. They do not mistake confidence for certainty. And they never lose the thread back to why they started. None of this is easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it, and the word founder would carry no weight. It is hard because the world pulls constantly in the other direction, toward reaction, toward performance, toward speed without direction, toward looking like a founder instead of being one. But you are still here. You made it through all 3 parts of this. That already tells me something about you. The Stoic founder habits we covered today are not a checklist you complete once and frame on the wall. They are a practice, a daily decision to operate from a place of clarity instead of noise, conviction instead of performance, purpose instead of pressure. Some days you will get it right. Some days the noise will win. The difference between the founders who build something real and the ones who do not is not perfection, it is return. They return to these principles quietly, without making a production of it, every single time they drift. You are going to face a moment this week, probably sooner than you think, where one of these 7 things gets tested, where the easy path is to chase approval, or let urgency push you into a bad decision, or keep someone around because the alternative feels too hard. In that moment, remember this: the company you build is a direct reflection of the founder you are becoming. Every decision, every habit, every pattern you carry into the room compounds. The direction it compounds in is yours to choose. Start today. Not Monday, not after the next milestone. Today, with the next decision in front of you. If this added something real to how you think about building, share it with one founder in your life who needs it. Not to flood their feed, because they genuinely deserve to hear this. And if you are serious about building the kind of company and life that actually holds up under pressure, become part of this community. Hit subscribe on Stoic Founder. We go this deep every single time. No fluff, no shortcuts, just the real work of building something that lasts. Drop in the comments right now. I build on purpose, not on pressure. Say it and mean it. Then go build.